Welcome to another edition of the Troy Brown Show, presented by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. There is Troy Brown. There's also Emery, Kingston Brown. You're probably going to hear from Emery a little bit today. Emery just turned 2 this summer, so I'm not sure that Emery has a complete appreciation for the production quality of the Troy Brown Show. That's okay. It's all right. Part of a big part of Troy's story is his kids. And Emery's there, so we'll probably talk about and maybe even to Emery at some point in the next few minutes. Not going to keep Troy long today because I think he reports for camp later in the day. The football season is here. Preseason camp begins in earnest on Wednesday as we tape this Tuesday, a little after 11:15. So, Troy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Feeling great. And very excited to. Get into day one. So we report today. We have dinner. We actually have dinner at 5:30. That's when we'll see everybody will see each other and stuff. And we dive in from there.
Let's talk about Emery a little bit first, though. We were talking about shows. He's watching Bluey. You guys went to see Minions the other day at the movie theater. How was Minions? And go ahead and admit that you liked it too.
Oh, I love it. The plot and everything, especially the backstory of the little minions and stuff, and how they met each other and how their journey started. It was actually entertaining. I stayed awake the whole movie. That was kind of surprising for me. It was almost like a 2-hour movie. So I enjoyed it.
So I was talking to Mason Brooks earlier today for his show. We were talking about the heat and you've been through preseason camps before, and it gets hot in Michigan. I know that. It's a little different heat. It's more humid here. For you preparing for how to deal with the heat day in, day out on these long practices in August and that kind of thing, keeping your weight up and keeping your energy up. How much of a challenge is that in Mississippi as opposed to when you went through it at Central Michigan?
Actually, it's very challenging. I honestly feel like it's 5 to 10 times harder to breathe in this atmosphere. So, to help myself prepare, I had got some gear from one of my great mentors over my time at Central Michigan. His name is Tap. He played in he played in the league for a couple of years. He gave us what I'm about to grab is this little oxygen mask.
Okay.
Right now it's kind of broken, but basically what it does is it makes it harder on different levels for you to breathe. So right now it's basically closed all the way to where you see that little hole to where you can breathe at, and then it goes all the way open.
Okay.
So I put this on. Oh, sorry. I put this on. I probably jog a mile, do a couple workouts, couple sprints, just to get my body to having to breathe.
Just to make the air, so it makes the air feel heavier.
Yes, like 10 times more. Like you have to actually open to get 1 ounce of air. So
have you been able to tell a difference?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. I was talking to Mason about this as well, about maintaining your weight. He was talking about how he's not a morning eating person, and you gotta eat in the morning, you gotta eat throughout the day, snack all day. Is that something that comes natural for you, or is that something that in the month of August when you're going through this you have to really focus on it?
I feel like over the years, I love food. I'm naturally a eater. I eat in all times of the day, but when I got to college, having to force myself extra food to get extra weight was kind of hard. So for me, it was times of days, or it was time periods to where I know my body and I know when I'm really, really hungry. And for me, that is usually right before bed. So right before bed is when I get my intake of my calories and things that I want to sit on my body, because once you eat right before you go to sleep, that weight sits. Like that food, and it doesn't digest as fast as it is if you're up and walking around and stuff. So when you eat and you sleep, that food digests slow and it sits on you. So that weight will most likely be there in the morning. So that's how I think about it.
Let's talk about camp a little bit. About to get rolling. Lane Kiffin at SEC Media Days talked a lot about culture, about program culture, and talked about how, you're bringing in a lot of different guys from a lot of different places. There's a lot of talent, obviously. You don't bring guys like you in if you don't think, hey, this guy can get on the field and help us pretty much right away. But it's guys that have come from, from different places. You're from Central Michigan. Mason's from Western Kentucky. You've got guys from, Auburn and USC, and I feel like I'm leaving. There's tons of places. I mean, Georgia Tech, and I mean, all over the place. Yeah, and guys have done it in different ways. You've played for different coaches. You've played for different, worked out for different strength coaches. You've had different program cultures, different program schedules, all of that stuff. He was talking about how that this camp that starts Wednesday is much more than just X's and O's. It's about building a culture and that kind of thing. It's something he brought up numerous times. From your standpoint, as one of those guys that is a newcomer, and that just before you even mentioned the freshmen that are coming in that are, were in high school a year ago.
Perfect.
How big of an issue is that for you guys? How big of a challenge is that? How far along are you all as a program in terms of building a homogenous culture?
I don't necessarily feel like it's an issue for us, but I feel like it is a obstacle for us to overcome if we want to be a very good team this year. I know on a personal standpoint, seeing a lot of success and seeing how guys moved last year may have persuaded a lot of us to, come here and want to do the same. So I personally feel like with each personal mindset that's being added, we all have that goal that we saw what happened last year, and we can come here and we can maybe do something even better. So with that mindset, I feel like culture, it's easy to adapt to it because you have the winning mindset, and now you just have the tools and let me see. Just the tools that's given to you by the coaches. And the way that they teach, the way that we go about things, it's just how we want to portray ourselves out there on the field. So I don't feel like it's an issue, but I feel like it's not going to be an easy ride. So
because you kind of have a lot of strong personalities. It takes a certain personality, right, to make the decision to leave Central Michigan and come to Ole Miss to be the guy that goes, hey, I've got a role at Georgia Tech, but I can get a bigger role at Ole Miss. I'm the man at TCU or the man at SMU, and but you know what? I'm gonna play in the SEC. I want to do big things. That takes a certain alpha type of personality to do that, and you put a whole bunch of alphas in a room sometimes, and guys can kind of butt heads a little bit before they all get on the same page. Is that kind of what you're referencing a little?
Definitely. Because when I got here, it was a total culture change in as far as the players. I know how coaches all have the same mindset and all have, well, not the same mindset, but they do things a certain way to get like their goals settled. But when I got here, it's a different mindset as far as from players, because where I was at, players were so humbled, and players, they didn't necessarily have that ego or that mentality that they're just the guy. You know what I mean? So
yeah, sure. It stands to reason, right? And this isn't an insult at all to the Central Michigan or the MAC, but it's one of those things where, look, Johnny 5-star or Johnny high 4-stars not signing at Central Michigan for the most part. Yep. There might be an exception here and there, but for the most part, those are guys that, you know this, you went through the process. The guy that goes to Central Michigan 99 times out of 100 didn't have a Michigan offer. He didn't have a Michigan State offer. He didn't have a Penn State or an Iowa offer. He might have picked Central Michigan over Western Michigan and Toledo, but he got, like you said, he got humbled a little bit in the recruiting process. So when he gets to school, he's hungry. There's something to prove. And a lot of times at the SEC program, and this isn't knocking guys who sign with SEC schools. Good for them. But, they had a lot of people coming after him. They chose Ole Miss over 20 other offers, or they chose Georgia over 35 offers or whatever. I mean, those are two different people arriving in separate colleges at that point.
Yeah, and that plays a part. It plays a part in like the acceptance because I mean, guys like me, I accept all coaching, any form, shape, or form, like from anybody at any level. It could be the ball boy just telling me something like, "Hey, I seen you do this. It seemed to be wrong," or anything. Like I accept. But then you could see a guy that a coach gets on him about missing his reps or something like that. And I'm not saying that happens here, and I'm saying it at all. But I'm saying like it's just that those type of mentalities are the mentality that may hold you back from reaching that tip top culture that you want your program to be at. So me as a leader and as an old guy, that's what I always try to preach into each and every person that I see get on the field, each and every person that I see complain, because the next play, this game could be taken away from you. So, but I honestly feel like we're going to get to what our goal is and what our ultimate. I mean,
people are really excited, Troy, about the Ole Miss defense. I mean, there's a lot of talent on that defense. I mean, it's a lot of new guys, it's a lot of experienced guys. There's people that are still trying to prove themselves and that kind of thing, but there's a lot of talent on that side of the ball. I'm curious, when people say, "Hey, what's the one question mark on Ole Miss's defense?" I mean, even I do it, and I'm like, I kind of feel bad sometimes because I'm doing this show with you and I've gotten to know you, but you're like, well, I mean, if there's a question mark, it's linebacker, right? Because Chance Campbell and Mark Robinson were so good a year ago, and they're both gone, and it looks like they're both going to make NFL rosters, and and kudos to both of them for their stories, because they both have great stories. But that leaves a void because they both played. By the end of the season, if Mark or Chance wasn't on the field, it was because one of them had gotten dinged up. Something had happened. I think Mark had an ankle or a hamstring issue at one point. Chance kind of got dinged up with a concussion maybe. And other than that, though, those guys were on the field every snap. So you're one of the guys that's being brought in to fill that void. Is that something that motivates you when people say, well, that might be the question mark? Or are you like, no, I get it. I'm going to prove people that we can handle this?
That's definitely motivation for me, because even now, how people know that I'm the linebacker transfer. Like I'm the only, well, not the only. I'm sorry. We also have Danny Lockhart and Reggie and them, but I was one of the main guys that was recruited for that position to come and fill the void. And even when guys just still puts hang that question mark over it, it's just like, it's not necessarily a disrespect move. It's just like those guys want to know if I could fill those shoes, or if I could play as good or even better. So it's a challenge for me, and I'm stepping up to the plate 100%. I'm excited to be out there as much as I can. It doesn't matter if the play is 70 or 7. Each and every play that I go out there and I play, I'm going to give it my all. And even with just me, we have a great rotation right now. Guys are peaking. Showing great athletic skills and showing great characteristics to where they can be in certain different packages, to where it's not only just me and it may be 2 other linebackers. So I don't feel like we're the question mark. It's just that 2 guys have left the room, and you don't have familiar faces back there. But each and every day at practice, I see those guys make plays, and I don't see them missing any in the game.
Let me ask you about a couple of those guys real quick. Austin Keys is a guy that, God, he looks the part. I mean, we all wish we could sort of physically look like him. He's had a hard time staying completely healthy and staying on the field. And then Ashanti Sistrunk had some moments a year ago where you're like, oh, there's a lot there. How have those guys looked this summer? What do you expect from them in camp?
Love the energy from both of them, really. Playing with Shanti this spring, because Keys was out the spring. Shanti is very versatile. He can be strong. He can be fast when needed. He's not the average, stiff type of back stiff type of backer that you're used to seeing. Like before, he's up with the new athletic, safety type built.
Yeah.
But he's good. He's smart. He knows the scheme. He helps me out when needed. So I appreciate him in that form a lot, and he's been making a lot of plays. Keys, on the other hand, not seeing him out on the field kind of it didn't necessarily hurt me, but I wanted to see that. Getting to see him on film a little bit last year, seeing him make some plays and stuff like that, it kind of excited me to see him move because he's a very athletic dude too. Like he's big, but he can move fast, and he's not a stiff guy. So just having that sight and just seeing those guys right next to me and they're equally athletic and stuff like that, it's like I'm just excited to really see them in the game and see them next to me and stuff like that.
We talked about this a little bit as you guys get going into camp, though. It's probably going to be a talking point a little bit, whether it's fair or not. I don't know, and you can feel free to tell me. Is there a little more sense of urgency defensively that, hey, we've got to kind of find our stride quickly, knowing that the offense is going to be breaking in a new quarterback and that they're going into camp without a set quarterback? There's going to be a quarterback competition as opposed to the last couple of years when it was Matt Corral's job. Does that change the urgency a little bit defensively?
I feel like we've been as urgent as possible from the moment we've been going through the playbook till now. Right. So there's days that the offense they may take off or something like that. Nah, we're in there film maybe every day, getting in extra personal position groups, film more position workouts, stuff like that. So we've been sharpening the tools to be individually good, but we've been like in these last couple of weeks, we've been wrapping it all in and fixing things within and the whole. So the miscommunication with the secondary, linebackers to safeties to corners, linebackers to corners. We have to be able to click. We have to know each other's words, each other's languages and stuff like that. So that's what the detail we've been paying attention to more and more these last couple of weeks.
You guys have a lot of guys on defense. I mean, there's depth up front. There's a lot of depth in the secondary. You talked about voices. You know, depth is a good thing, but it also means when you're going to be playing a bunch of guys, you've got to learn how to play with a lot of guys. Is that something that you have? It's kind of got to be a point of emphasis in August.
It was a real point of emphasis for me in the spring. I wanted to get comfortable with those guys as quick as possible. So whenever I finished studying my tape, I will go in and I will watch the D linemen, some of the D linemen that would play with some of the defense that come in as linebackers, the joker position. Watch some of those guys. I watch, well, not necessarily watch, but I go back and watch the cut-ups to where they have to communicate with us. So I now have to figure out which guy likes to talk, which guy doesn't like to talk, which guy knows certain checks, which guy doesn't. Certain stuff like that you have to know because when you're playing with somebody, those tendencies come out every time. So if you're a heavy player, you're going to lunge at a lot of people. So maybe you will get reached, things like that. So those tendencies come out, and that's what I have to have in the back of my mind when I'm playing with you.
Hey, last thing. It's a big season for you personally. I mean, I know you're excited to be playing in the SEC and some of the places you're going to get to play and wearing an SEC uniform as opposed to a MAC uniform in an SEC stadium is going to be different. It's also a big year for you professionally. You want to play professional football. This is a job interview. You just got through seeing Chance Campbell and Mark Robinson turn this into a trampoline, a leaping pad into the NFL. Right. For you, is that I was asking Mason about this. So I'm curious to get your answer as well as we hear Emory. And I know Emory's one of the big reasons that motivated this move. Do you have to put that in the out of your mind and just focus on the here and now and not think about, not get so locked into the big picture as to what a big year this is for you?
At the end of the day, yes, that is my goal. That has been my goal since the first day I've stepped on a college campus. But I personally like to stay in the now because I was that person that always looked into the future, and I began to overstep or oversee what was in front of me. So I wasn't doing the things necessary to win the now, but I was always thinking about the future. So once things started to go bad for me, as far as like that mindset, I just always thought to myself, like, you live now, you win now, and you just go 1-0. Like that's all you can ask yourself. If you lose, you get back up and you try again, but just try to go 1-0, 1-0 every day. So yes, the NFL is always in the back of my mind, but right now I'm trying to win today. I'm trying to see what's going to happen today to where I can ensure that the NFL is there when it's all said and done. So that's how I look at it.
This show is brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, same great products, same great services. If you live in Oxford, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call the people at Southern 662-429-4429. I know it sounds crazy now, but in a couple of months, you'll be thinking about, hey, we got to get our heating system, make sure it's ready to go. So don't forget to call those guys and just get them to come out and check everything, make sure you're good. And if you have an air conditioning issue, it's hot, it's August, it's September, you're going to panic, call them. Their service is amazing. You'll see why Comer and Southern are the place to go for your heating and air conditioning needs. Next time that we get together, Troy, for the Troy Brown Show, it's going to be game week. You guys are going to be ready to play Troy, and you don't know how excited I am to try to beat you in picking the MAC this season on this show. We're going to have to get together early enough in the week because the MAC might play on a Tuesday morning, so we'll have to tape something early in the week so that we get our picks in. I'm so eager to get ahead of you on like Northern Illinois and Eastern Michigan, and I you just don't know, like, to show you my Akron and Toledo knowledge, when you're gonna be like, oh, I had that game last week, and I'm eager to see if I can't beat a former MAC player picking MAC games. I don't have a lot of accomplishments to brag about, Troy. So if I get that, that's something I can put on my resume and moving forward. And Troy Brown, I beat him picking MAC games. It matters to me, Troy. So I want you to know that I'm planning on bringing it when we pick these MAC games.
If that happened, I gotta win it. I gotta.
I'm planning on bringing it, so I'm gonna have some research done. What I'm hoping is that you're so locked into your games that when we talk about Central Michigan or Western Michigan and Northern Illinois or whatnot, that in the back of your mind you're going, I don't know, and I'm gonna be like, I got him right.
I mean, I'm not gonna be able to know that much, but I'm gonna check in on my teammates here and there. I'm like, I need to know something. What's going on?
So we'll start picking those games. We'll obviously talk about the Ole Miss games, about Troy's experience in the SEC as he gets ready for his year. And listen, good luck in camp. I'm sure I'll see you out there. Good luck in camp. I hope it goes well. Emory, good seeing you.
Thank you. Good.
We'll talk to y'all soon. For Troy Brown, I'm Neil McCready. That does it for this edition of the Troy Brown Show. We'll get together late August, and we'll start doing this weekly as we go through the 2022 football season. For Troy, I'm Neil. Take care.
Take care.